Aha, let's do some science, bro, because, can you even? That sounded way cooler in my head. I must have screwed up something. So, it would appear we are at 61 subs. I just thought it would be fun to call out the subscriber number per video for future nostalgia purposes. So, with that out of the way, here's M-Benz. Well now, isn't that a fancy logo? So, I guess quality M-Benz flat earth, flat earth? With some fancy Illuminati pyramids thrown in there? No eyes? That is quite the meme-worthy don't dead open inside you've got going there, M-Benz.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yo, what's up?
This is M-Benz.
Really?
Back with another video for you here today. And today, we are talking about... Do you even science, bro?
Shit, that was so smooth. And so much cooler than mine. Shut up, it's not funny. Oh hey, it's Neil. Meme deGrasse Tyson. Do you even science, bro? See, I can do it too.
And the reason why I bring this up is because all the time down in my comments, I keep hearing, oh, you need to go back to school and learn science. The education system has failed you. Do you even know science? You only believe in flat earth because you don't know anything about science.
Which is, of course, entirely negated by you making silly voices and wobbling around in your chair? What the hell was that even?
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
And that, good sir, might be the best retort I have ever seen.
Hear that all the time.
You hear that all the time? That might explain a few things, but go on.
Now, science is one of those things that globies try to use against flat earthers.
How dare they?
Just say we don't know science, so they're smarter than us because they can rattle off all a plethora of scientific
calculations? Evidence? Theories? Experiments? Examples? Facts? Tests?
words.
Words?
Words.
Words. How dare they?
And they have a plethora of scientific words in their vernacular that they got from science.com.
Hey, I'll have you know I get my word from well-established sources such as urbandictionary.com and thesaurus.com. Rude.
So they sit here and they say, oh, well, flat earthers are idiots or stupid or whatever words you want to call us because we don't know science. Now.
Oh, stop being such a little victim, Nazi boy. Also, there's not a lot of science going on here, just lots of talking about nothing.
Before we move forward with the video, let's talk about science. So,
before we're moving on with the video talking about science, we're gonna talk about science? What?
Scientific method, right?
Uh-huh.
Right, pretty basic, right? Got the chart here.
Yeah.
Chart, pretty basic, right?
Right.
Chart, as you see.
Yes, I see.
So it starts with, you ask a question. You do some research. You construct a hypothesis. You test that hypothesis with an experiment. Now, is the procedure working? Is it no or yes? You analyze the data, you come up with your conclusion, and then you communicate the results to the scientific community so it can be replicated or repeated.
Yes, that is basically the scientific method. I, however, am more interested right now why you needed a total of 7 bloody jump cuts to read a bunch of text balloons. Not to mention, did you just do a Picard maneuver? But I digress.
Science, right? So you have an idea, you put together a whole hypothesis, you have your theory.
Oh no. You're not going to repeat the same shit again in your own words. We get it. Let's move on, shall we?
So, let's say, we're gonna say, water sticks to the outside of a rotating ball, right?
Well, first of all, let's have a look at your ludicrous meme here. If gravity is strong enough to overcome the centrifugal force at the equator, where the Earth spins at 1000 miles per hour, how is it that we weigh the same at the equator as we do at the poles? Showing a badly photoshopped image of the Earth that is spinning way faster than the Earth is.
You ask that question, does water stick to the outside of a rotating ball?
Oh, holy hell. If you seriously think this image is some kind of gotcha, you are grossly uninformed. It's actually quite embarrassing you've mixed up mass and weight. I mean, mass is a constant based on the amount of matter an object contains, while weight is dependent on the pull of gravity. And contrary to popular belief, it is measured in Newton. We've asked the question, do we weigh less at the equator than on the poles? And the tests have shown us we do in fact weigh around 1% less. Approximately. Here are the magic numbers we found. On average, we've measured the gravitational acceleration to be around 9.8 meters per second squared, while the centrifugal force at the equator is a mere 0.0339 meters per second squared. Now, can you tell me which one is the bigger number, M-Benz?
Well, we don't know.
Well, it's this one. So, anyway, let's have another look at that Earth badly photoshopped on top of a spinning tennis ball. Tell me, what seems to be wrong with this picture, M-Benz? Oh, for fuck's sake. Obviously, it's spinning significantly faster than the Earth, which takes, I don't know, a full 24 hours to do one rotation. And your ball is too small, M-Bands. Get a bigger ball. Oh wait, you live on one. Now, don't you dare use this meme image ever again for your flat Earth nonsense. It is only allowed to be used against you.
You do a little bit of research on the properties of water, the properties of a ball, the properties of gravity, and then you go in the lab and you try to test this hypothesis of water in the ball, and does water stick to the outside of a rotating ball? You try to replicate that experiment, and then you publish your results now.
And that experiment would obviously result in water not sticking to your ball, because your ball is too small and within the gravitational influence of the Earth. Heck, knowing you, you'd get all kiddies seeing balls spinning around very quickly, adding even more nonsense to your nonsensical test.
I did some Google searching out there. I cannot find a test.
Just because you don't understand the reasons why it is a completely useless test, doesn't mean we should tickle your fancy by devoting lab time just to cater to your ignorance.
That replicates water sticking to the outside of a spinning ball in any scenario. So that tells me that that is just a theory. Theory, right? Number 1 on the theory calendar.
Number 1 on the theory calendar? Calendar? You know, it's quite common that people don't understand the difference between a theory and a scientific theory, and that's perfectly fine, as it is a bit confusing at first glance. However, you just managed to outdo all of them combined by not even understanding the word calendar.
Black holes. That's a question. Black holes exist?
Well, that is a statement, not a question, but they probably do exist, yeah.
Can we test this?
Well, we have been able to measure and calculate the velocities and trajectories of objects like stars orbiting something invisible, and we came up with a cool name for it.
Can we repeat it?
Well, we have been able to measure and calculate the velocities. Yes, of course we can repeat it.
Can we observe it?
Yes.
No.
Now, that, my friend, is a compelling argument. It's just too bad we've done all these observations. Also,
put that in the theory column. I mean, we can go on and on. Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory. You ask questions. Big Bang Theory happened.
Now, all the evidence we do have suggests it did indeed happen by calculating the reverse trajectories of objects we've observed in space. They all seem to converge into a single point. And based on the distance of the furthest objects we've detected, our conclusion is it took about 13.8 billion years for them to arrive at their current location.
Can you repeat it?
Well, what do you want us to do? Push the reset button on the entire universe? I mean, it's the best explanation we currently have, and there is a lot of evidence for it happening, which elevates it well beyond a hypothesis.
Can you test it?
As far as we can measure and calculate it, yeah.
Can you observe it?
All the evidence we've gathered is based on observations.
No.
Alright, you've convinced me. Let's throw out all the evidence we've gathered because M-Benz says no. That's all the evidence I need.
Boom.
Boom indeed. And I see what you did there. That's quite clever, actually.
That falls into the theory category.
Technically, it is above a hypothesis leaning towards a scientific theory, but now we're into semantics.
Can you make something orbit around something else with gravity? They say planets orbit around each other, we orbit around the sun, everything orbits around the sun and our galaxy because of a phenomenon called gravity.
Balls in space like to go around other balls, and we've got lots of balls up there, going around each other, doing an elegant dance of the balls. Also, we've thrown stuff out there as well, which is orbiting around us, or using gravity slingshot maneuvers to take a closer look at those balls, or, to simply orbit them.
We ask a question, can we make...
God damn it. The pear-shaped Earth is not shaped like an actual pear, you utter dick flute.
Two objects orbit around each other, or one orbit around the other, due to gravity. We ask that question. We gather our research. We gather our data. We do an experiment, and we see if that idea can be replicated, repeated, and observed. The answer to that question is no.
Well, no. You're starting to sound like Giorgio Tsoukalos, the guy from Ancient Aliens. Here we have all the evidence, observations and repeatable experiments with the option to make very accurate predictions. In comes M-Benz to tell us the answer is no. No foundation, no rebuttal, just a solid no. That is not exactly how the scientific method works. You at the very least have to falsify the current models.
Falls into the theory category. So, getting back to the word science, and they say, hey, do you even know anything about science, bro?
Well, bro, this is just getting insulting. Your entire list is just pure projection. It is completely reversed on each and every point. You might want to look up something like the Dunning-Kruger effect, because you are definitely suffering from it. Or is that word too sciencey for you?
You don't know anything about science.
Case in point, your entire video, your entire channel. Basically, everything you say. And that ignorance is not something to be proud of.
You're trying to pass off your channel as scientific fact.
Yeah, said no one ever.
I never said anything on this channel as scientific fact
because that would be lying, and, well, what seems to be the problem? You've lied and made up shit this entire video.
Science is based on a list of theories.
Scientific theories. And you seem aggravated for being called out on your horse shit.
All the science you guys put in my comment section about the globe isn't really science at all. It's theories. It's a theory that someone came up with at one time or another. People accepted it as scientific fact and moved on with life, and they open their textbooks and go to science.com and they preach it all the time. They preach it in their videos, they preach it in my comment section, and they pass it off as scientific fact. When in fact, it is still a theory, because you yourself cannot go out and test any of the things I just mentioned. You cannot test any of these things and come up with the same results as the original theory. Am I right or am I wrong?
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Take it away, Cox.
You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
I believe that I am right.
You're wrong.
Therefore, it is not science.
Oh, alright then. And Ben thinks he's right, so therefore he's right. Now, the ironic thing here is you are in fact correct, but not for the reasons you think you are. The shit that just came out of your mouth is not a description of science, it's actually a description of pseudoscience. You silly man, you.
And the reason why I do not get in debates with these other globe channels and all these globe believers.
Because you are afraid, close-minded, hostile to any form of criticism, outright dishonest, and don't want to get called out to protect your fragile little ego, and are only able to base your arguments on random flat earth image memes.
The reason why I don't get in debates is because you guys sit up here and you talk based in scientific theory.
Yeah. Just that demonstrable, repeatable evidence tested through multiple experiments with predictive capabilities and 100% falsifiable to avoid any form of human bias and authorities. Who needs that nonsense, right?
You talk in a universe based in scientific theory. That's like if... Pull it up here. I mean, that's...
I have to know, do you suffer from short-term memory loss? Because not too long ago we were reading about science and the scientific method, but it's obvious nothing has registered.
That's like if you say, hey, we're gonna talk in a whole world based on Marvel Comics. That's what we're gonna do.
And while that seems intriguing, I am going to cut you off for now. My word, he likes to rant even more than I do with his silly jump cut crap. However, I actually like my subscriber, so I'll have to at least protect you guys from extended exposure to his mind-numbing rambling. I'll just do a two-parter. And don't worry, he's already a jester in the Order of the Sillies. I mean, seriously. I'll see you in part 2. Bye.